Hello everyone, welcome to a new tutorial. On this tutorial we're going to be hooking up our application to Firebase, and Firebase is it's a Google service that's pretty much like a backend as a service, and it provides different tools for web development. And we're going to be using one of the tools, which is Firestore, which is a database. It's a NoSQL database, and we're going to be using that to store the data of this application and also to retrieve the data so that we can show it on our application. Alright, on the last tutorial we left off at this point where we had our card here. Alright, so now we want to go to Firebase. Just go to Get Started. If you don't have an account, just create an account. I already have an account, so I'll just go to the console. I'll just log in. Alright, so once you get into Firebase, we're gonna create a new project. So just go to Add Project. So we'll just put web app or something like that. And let me make this a little bit bigger. Alright, so if you want to get all of these things, like some of the reporting, you want to get some analytics, you can leave this on, but I'm just gonna turn it off because this is just for testing. And just go to create a project, and let's wait a few minutes while the project is being created. You can just go to continue. It's gonna take you to your application, and here what you want to do is you want to go here where it says web, and let's just register the app. Let's just give it the same name just to keep it consistent. So just register app. Alright, so then it gives you different ways to install Firebase. You can choose any of the ways, I guess. In my case, I'm just gonna use the script tag just because it's simpler. So what you want to do is, so before we copy this, let's just keep it on the side for now. Go back to your application, go to the source folder, and here create like a new folder called Firebase. That one got created inside of components, but let me just I'll just put it outside. So let's just inside of the source folder. Alright, so we have it here now. Let me just close that. And inside of the Firebase, let's create a new the Firebase folder. Let's create a new file called config.js, and here is where we're gonna paste our script. So go back to the web to where you have the Firebase open, and here just copy the script tag and let's just paste it. Alright, and there's one thing that I should mention is that Firebase keeps changing all the time. They keep changing the documents. They keep updating. Right now we're on version 9.9.1. When I was recording this video, before when I created the app, it was like version 8, and there's like a big difference between version 8 and version 9. So there's a bunch of things that we might have to do or we might not have to do. So let's just troubleshoot together, okay? Alright, since we're gonna be using the Firestore, we have to import it because it doesn't come on this package. So we have to import Firebase, and then we have Firestore. Let's see if that works. Alright, no problems. And then come here and then just say const Firestore, because we're gonna be using that one. And then we're gonna say app.firestore, and then we'll just call it like this because we're gonna use that. We're gonna be using that service, the Firestore service that's inside of the app. But still, you have to import, the Firestore. All right, so app, and then we have to export it because we're gonna be using it in our project, throughout our project. All right. So let's see if this works. So, well, right now we won't know it, but like we might come back to this one. Alright, so just make sure that you have these imports, and after you do that, let's go back to where we left off. So let's create a database. This is production mode, this is test mode. We're just gonna use the test mode, and then just go to next. And here just select the location. So US Central or whatever you are, US East 1. I'm just gonna keep it like that. I'm not there, but I'm just gonna keep it like that, just because once again this is just for teaching purposes. I'm gonna delete this afterwards. Alright, so let's just give it a second. It's setting up all of the rules, the Firestore. Alright, so after you do that, you can come to start collection, and let's create a new collection. So we'll call it books. And this is a NoSQL database. That's why you have to create documents. and collections and documents, so you don't have any tables or anything like that. So for the ID, just auto generated, so just click on auto ID, and here we're gonna choose the fields that we're just gonna create one of the postings, and then we're gonna retrieve the data from that posting or from that listing. So if you want to see like which fields we need, we have to go to our application, go to add book, and these are all the fields that we will need. All right, so if you go to, let's go to our project, and let's go to components, book card, book card, and see here you have all these are the values. They have been hard coded, so we have them here, but now we're gonna retrieve these values from the database. Alright, so now what we want to do is, once again, go to add book, and here we have the different fields. So this is the title of the book, so we're gonna say The Great Gatsby. Let's add another field. The second is gonna be author, so we'll just say Scott. The third one is gonna be finished on, so when, and this is the type, so we're gonna keep it a string. And then we'll just say we just use the same one that we were using there. And then for this one, the last one, it's summary. We'll say let's just keep it short this time. And we're gonna add another field, and the reason why we're adding this field is because we want a timestamp. We want to know when this was posted, so that we can retrieve the data in order, right, and have like an order when it was posted, and then retrieve it based on that. So we're gonna create an extra field that's gonna be called posted on, and it's not gonna be a string, it's gonna be a timestamp. And then we're just gonna pick like today's date. I'll just pick whatever here, it doesn't matter, and let's just save it. Oh, I don't think you can see here, so there. And then so make sure that you have all the fields and this extra field, and then just save. So now we have our collection. So if you come here, you can see that come to books, click on the ID, and then you'll have the collection with all the details. Alright, so just go back to your project, go to app.js, and here we have to make a few imports, or just one import, I guess, since we're gonna be using the Firestore. So let's just import the Firestore, and the way you do it like just import Firestore, and then and then we have should say Firebase, and then here we have the config, and that's how you do it. Okay, so we have an error that says that it cannot define that. So that's the error that I was talking about. If you come to the config.js file, it says that we don't have the Firebase, the Firestore. So let me try something different. Let's try to install a different version of Firebase and see if that solves our issue. So come to the terminal, stop the server. Let's install a different version of Firebase. So just do npm install Firebase, and let's just put Firebase at 8.10. So let's install that one and see if we can get away with using a different version, because the newest version always gives you this kind of problem. Alright, so after you have done that, just let's try to run the server. It's not gonna run, but we have to change a few things here and see if that works. Alright, so it runs, but like it doesn't show anything. So we can let's open the console here, see what's happening. Alright, so we're getting this problem that says the Firestore is not a function. So that's the same problem that I was getting before. So let's see if we can fix it. So since now we're using a different version, let's try to import Firebase in a different way from Firebase. Alright, and then we'll come down here where it says initialize app. It's gonna give us a problem because we're not using that anymore. So we'll say Firebase.initialize app, and then we'll save it, and let's see if that changes anything. And yes, as a matter of fact, so that fixes it. So if you can see now, we don't have any errors here, and the most important thing is that our app is running and it's showing us what we want to see. So let's just close this, and as you can see, now we have fixed the problem by downgrading to like an earlier version of Firebase, because the newest one, it gives you that kind of problem. It tells you like Firestore is not a function. I don't know how to solve it yet. I've been trying to solve that. But for now, we'll just use a different version of Firebase. If that works, we're gonna stick to that. Okay. So you know that React uses states so that you don't have to write classes, because before you had to write classes in order to change the state of a component, but now we can use hooks, so it simplifies things. And you can come to React and you can read about like using the state hook, which is the one that we're gonna be using. So I'm not gonna go over that, but like what we need to do is change the state of this component, and that's why we're using the use state. All right, so we're gonna say books here, and then we'll say set books, which is what's customary to use when you're changing the state of a component. And then we'll just say use state. If we just that should import it. Didn't import. Okay, let me see if let me try it again so that we don't have to do the import by ourselves, but it's automatic there. So now you can see that it got imported here. It says use state from React, and we're gonna initialize it to like an empty array, which is gonna, we're gonna be holding the data there. Alright, and then we'll create a function that's gonna fetch all the books. So we'll just say fetch books, and for this one we'll make like an async call to the Firebase, and we need like an arrow function here. Alright, and then we're gonna make a request to the Firebase. So we'll just say const rec await, and then we'll use Firestore, which is why we imported it. And this is how you access the collection. You say Firestore that collection, and then the name of the collection. So the name of our collection is books. Alright, and then we want to say order by. We want to use this function because we want to retrieve the data in certain order, which is going to be based on the field that we just created, which was posted on. And we want like to have them in descending order. So there, that one. And then we'll just use the get function just to get it. And that's what we have so far. So let me just go here and just say console.log, and then right, so that we see what we're getting, right? So let me just see if this is gonna work. Let's go back here and let's just open the console once again. Let's see if we are getting something, right? Oh, so we're not getting anything because I'm not calling the function yet. Yeah. Alright, so let me finish to do this. So another thing that we're gonna use is use effect, and we have to import it as well. And I'll explain in a little bit what this is, but let me just set it up here. So what we're doing here, or what's use effect? Use effect is another hook, and we use this hook to perform some of the side effects in a functional component. And what does that mean is if you're using like if you want to do data fetching, setting up a subscription, or manually changing the DOM in the React components, these are all side effects. Since we're fetching data, so we need to use a use effect so that we can call on this function. And the use effect calls on the function every time that there is an update, but we don't want that. That's why we added the empty array here, because we're saying like we just want to call it once the first time when we have the empty array. So we just want to call it when the user gets to this page, so that we want to just render it once, right? Alright, and once again, you can read more about the use effect and why we use it and how to use it, just going by the official documentation. Alright, so now we should be able to see that something is happening. So let's go back here and open the console. So once you open the console, you should see that you're getting something here. We know we're fetching something, but we don't see like what kind of thing we're fetching, right? So it's just saying like we're connecting to the Firebase and getting something, but we don't know what it is. So let's change that so that you can see what we're getting, right? So let's go back here. Alright, so we know that we're getting something, but we need to get the data, like the specific data about the the books. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set up here like a temporary variable, which is going to be called temp books, and then we'll say request from the documents. We want to map all the documents that we have on the, so this is rec, all the documents that we have in our collection. So then we'll do something like this, so book, and then we'll have this, and we're gonna spread the object. So this is like a JavaScript way to get the data. So we're just gonna spread the object and get all the data there, and we're gonna get the documents by the ID. So all the documents that we have, they have in the collection, they have an ID which is already generated by Firestore, so we don't have to generate like a new ID. And now we'll say let's do console log once again so that we can see what we're getting. In this case, we should get the only document that we have in the Firebase and the Firestore, which is the document that we created. So once again, let's just go over this. So we have a new variable which is gonna hold the data that we want. In this case, we have to map through all the documents. In this case, we just have one, so it's gonna map through only one. But then if we had more documents, that's why we use map, because we want to map through all of them. And then we spread the object, and then we get the object by the ID, or like the document by the ID. And here we're just saying console log, just give us whatever is in this variable. So let's go to localhost and see what we get. Alright, so now you see we're getting something different, and if we open it, we can see that we're getting the object that we wanted, right? So we're getting the document that we wanted. So we went so we get the author, we get the edition, finished on, and all of this, summary, title, and all of that. And it says that's an object, and and more information about it. So this is the same thing. Alright, so now we know that we're getting what we want. So if you have more documents in the Firestore, you will get more documents or more objects. Alright, so let's change this for set books, because that's where we want set books to have what we're retrieving, right? And now we should be good here with this. And here it's telling you like, oh, we're not using books. So we're gonna use it right now. Alright, so now we know that we're getting the data. We're retrieving the data successfully from the Firestore. So now we want to come here, and we need to, like, each book card has to be different depending on which book we're referring to, right? So we'll say books, so we're gonna map through the books, and then we'll say once again get the individual book, and then you wanna just get the individual book, and based on that you wanna have the book card be, so let's just drag it into here. Let's delete this, and then the book card is going to change depending on which book we're getting. So we need a key to access that, which is going to be the book ID. And then we'll say we'll just spread the object so that we can this is so that we can pass the props to the component. So we're passing the props to the component, and once we go to the component, we will be able to retrieve them by saying props that. Alright, so what's wrong here? Oh, I think it's the brackets. So this is supposed to be a parenthesis. So make sure that you have the correct parentheses here or brackets. Alright, so now it should work. So once again, just to recap here, we're just mapping through the document or through the object. And then we're setting like a variable, which is gonna be each individual book, and then we say we're passing it to the book card. So the key, we need the key so that we can access the individual book. And how we get our individual book is by the ID. That's why we're saying book.id. And then we're spreading the object, so we need to pass the props to that component so that we can access it once we go to the component. So that's what we're doing now. Alright, so I think we're done with app.js, but now go to components, card, book card.js, and here, since these are hard coded, so we want, since we already passed the props of the object, so now we can say here props to access them. And then here where it says the Great Gatsby, we'll have something like we'll have props that title. So that's how you access, so you say props that, and we call the title. So then props that title. Here we have props that author. Here we have what is it, props that finished on, I think. And then those are the ones that we have. So let's just save it, and now when we go to our app, we should get the same thing. Let's refresh it, and then we should get the values here. Alright, so we're not getting them, so let's troubleshoot and see what's wrong here. Let's go back to app.js and let's make sure that this is all correct. So Oh, so this is book. So it's not books, but book. So now let's save it and let's go back. Yeah, so it's supposed to be book because we're getting each individual document. And as you can see, now we're getting the data that we wanted. We're not getting that one, so let's go back and see what's wrong with that one. So finished on, maybe it was just like that, finish on. Yeah, I don't remember what I called it. No, I think it was finished on. Sometimes you get this problem where you try to call one of these and you don't get it, and I don't know why it's happening, but so let's go back to Firebase and I'll show you how to fix that. If you go to Firebase and then here where it says, so it's called finished on, so it's correct what I'm saying here, so you should be able to get it, but I'm still not getting it, right? So even if you come here and say just open the console, you'll see that you're getting it, so you're getting the data, but it's just not showing. I don't know why it doesn't access it. Well, it doesn't show because we don't have the console log anymore, but we're getting the data. And what you can do here is just come where the field is and let's just delete it, and let's just create it again. So we'll just say finished on, and here once again let's just pick like a random date. Change this, just say add, and now if you come here and just refresh it, see, now you get it. So I don't really know why that's happening, and let's test the other fields. So I don't know if it's because I'm adding the fields manually from here from the dashboard, but once we get to our application and we get to add just post our listings from the app, that's not gonna happen. But sometimes it gives you this error. I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure out. So let me just test the other fields just to make sure that we're getting all of them right. So let me just so I'm just gonna change this just for now, so just to see if we're getting everything. So we also have the addition and the summary, right? So we should these two should change now. All right, so those two work. So it was just the finished on that wasn't working. So let's just you can just revert back to what it was. All right, so now we're getting the data, and let's add another one so that you can see that we got it, so that we get the book card, and it's gonna be here, which it goes in descending order once again. So let's just go to add document, just auto ID here just for the title. All right, so let's just add like another book, and here we have the the posted on, well, summary. Let's just do summary, and then posted on, and here this is a timestamp, so let's just do that. Let's just pick yeah, it doesn't matter, let's just pick whatever, just say 3 here. So I'm missing the addition, right? All right, so let me add this, and so it doesn't, the order doesn't matter really. So second edition, and then just save the object. All right, so now we have the same amount of fields. So now if you go back to your application, let's just refresh it, and now you should get 2 different ones, and this one comes it's gonna come now there just because we just posted it, right? So it's the most recent one. And the author, once again, the same problem. I just don't understand why it's happening, but like if I find out about the problem, I'll let you know. But for now, we'll just do it in this way. We just want to make sure that we're just retrieving the data. That's the important thing. But once we post from the web app, we should be fine. You just say to be determined or something. Right, and if we come back here, we get so now it's retrieving the data. Yeah, so that shouldn't happen once we start posting from the app. Alright, so that should be all for today. So we have hooked up our application with the Firestore database, which is a Firebase service, and now we're retrieving the data successfully, and we're showing the data successfully as well. And on the next tutorial, I'll show you how to post from the web app, and then it should appear here. And yeah, so that's all for today. Yeah, so if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, share the video with others, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.